Nowadays, when you think of a cheat software, you will usually think of something that will make one player stronger, because a lot of cheats are built around that one idea. But what if instead of making one player stronger, you would make many clients easier to run altogether? That was the idea behind Cathook, and in today's video I want to tell you the story of that cheat software and how it was known, because his fame was very different from Regine or LMO box were both for players. Cathook was more of a bot cheat. The earliest public history around Cathook is tied to the catbot era. An article found around 2018 about the catbot era explains that Cathook was publicly listed by Nullified Cat and connected it directly to some Linux-based botting and the appearance of the catbot in TF2 pubs. That article also framed Cathook as something already active before the bot crisis reached its peak years. So, historically, Cathook did not begin as a bot crisis cheat for the 2022 crisis. It existed earlier, but it already had the kind of feature set that made it perfect for the bot era once the crisis scaled. You had automation, movement support, matchmaking. You also had in-game user discovery, so you could track which bots were using Cathook or not, and therefore not make them attack each other. And that's why Cathook became so important later. It was already structurally suited to the kind of abuse that TF2 knew with the bot era. What's interesting about Cathook and what's make it different from LMO bots or Regine is the fact that publicly Cathook wasn't only one anonymous developer, but it was an open project, and because of that there was a lot of people who were working on it. There was, for example, a guy named BandCat07 or another guy named TNE. And that's important because once a cheat has a public repository, multiple public handles associated with the development, some contributors were active, and even a visible future roadmap, it kind of like stop feeling like just a hack someone just download, but it almost works as a software infrastructure. And it makes it way harder to kill than a normal private cheat build. And that's also one of the reasons Cathook matters so much. A closed commercial cheat can become huge, and LMO box can have proved it. And a private cheat like Regine can define the scene and who is a known cheaters or not. But if you open a cheat on GitHub, it creates a different kind of danger, because openness basically lower barriers, and it becomes easier to study the feature set, fork the code, patch it, repurpose it, and build new tooling around it. And well, Cathook was not some tiny dead repository either, because at that time it had 180 forks, 402 stars, 57 contributors, and even if not every fork mattered, that still tells you that the project had become more than a one-person curiosity. And that's why Cathook was potentially worse than a normal cheat product. Not because it was necessarily the strongest cheat in terms of duels or HVH, but because it was more easily to turn it into an ecosystem and to fork it. Now we kinda enter into the heart of the video. During the bot crisis, Cathook mattered not because the crisis was due to a name problem, but more because it was due to a scale problem. To scale a bot wave, you need more than just a name bot. You need some way to automate joining games, some way to move through maps, so some nav mesh, some way to find or coordinate with similar clients, and some way to reduce some manual work basically. And Cathook was exactly that. There were some features like followbot, like nav pass bot, the automatic matchmaking, the new Nexus support to discover the Cathook user in-game automatically and make the bots not fighting themselves. And that's why Cathook sits so close to the catbot and overall the bot crisis history in general. It wasn't just a cheat people happened to use, it exposed features that made botting easier to recognize. And historically that make it very different from LMO Box and Regin. LMO Box became famous as a player cheat product. Regin was the same. It was like a smaller cheating scene, but it was made for like labeling and you also had some community identity behind it, while Cathook was just here because it was a bridge between cheating and botting at scale. If I had to pick one detail that best explains why Cathook mattered, it would be this. Cathook included a feature allowing Cathook users to identify each other inside matches. So Cathook bots would not go against one another. Then an anti-bot developer named LEMMI No used that same idea against them, turning part of Cathook's own logic into a way to identify, kick, and track Cathook bots. And some of the Cathook developers like BenCat or TNA just say that they were not interested into changing the signature because it would just be a cat and mouse chase. And I think that detail is quite interesting because it proves that Cathook was not designed to only make one user stronger. It was designed with the expectation that multiple Cathook clients would coexist in the same match. And that's a completely different level of ambitions than a normal cheat client. It also explains one of the most interesting twists in the story. Cathook openness and coordination logic helped it grow, but that same openness gave the anti-bot developers a blueprint for how to fight it. So Cathook helped to create the part of the bot crisis, and it also helped people to learn how to counterpart of that bot crisis. The downfall of Cathook happened with the move of TF2 switching to the 32 bytes to the 64 bytes. That kind of update matters because it kinda like break everything. Anything relying on older hooks, older memory layout, or other architectural expectations, whether it's a mod, plugin, or cheat client, suddenly become more expensive to maintain because you have to update it. And that's why I think it's more correct to talk about like the end of a Cathook era than the fact that Cathook died in one moment. Because the repository can still exist, the name can still exist, but once the old base stops being easy to maintain, the dominance of that slowly fade away. And that is what a downfall would look like for like a botnet or something like Cathook. And in the end, Cathook Legacy is not just that well, it was a cheat. It's more like TF2 has had cheats for years, and Cathook Legacy is that it shows what happened when cheating become iterable, reusable, coordinated, and cheap to scale. And that's why also Cathook sits so close to the story of bots and of the bot crisis itself. It wasn't only a tool, but it was part of a model. and its downfall matter because it just show what actually work against that kind of model. You add some friction, you break assumptions, you just study the system, and you make the scaling quite expensive. And that's just what finally started to happen to Cathook. In the end, if my LEMMI box video was about a famous cheat product and my Regime video more about like a niche cheating scene, then this Cathook video was about something worse. It was about the moment where cheating stopped being just an advantage and started becoming a system. And in my opinion, that's why Cathook remains one of the most interesting cheat to study in the TF2 history. Not because it was necessarily famous, but because in a way they helped the crisis to scale, and it's always interesting to study that and understand how they did it to be able to stop that. Anyway, it was Malatos. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Feel free to tell me what was your experience with the bot crisis, for example. Did you guys manage to have fun during that time, or did you guys bump into some Cathook bots, stuff like that? Let me know. I would love to hear your experience about Cathook, about the bot crisis, and any of that.